Sorry, I'm making a total mess of this.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we are sure. But now you're ready. And 2, 1, and.
Hello everyone, my name is Manoj Kochar and I represent an organization called ASPA, which is the Authentication Solution Providers Association. We are an association based at New Delhi with more than 80 members from various different technologies that help in fighting counterfeit and providing authentication solutions. We as an association hold several events. We conduct conferences and events which are very well attended. We have several publications and we are doing a lot of work to fight this menace of counterfeit. In this podcast today, which has been organized by Mankind Pharmaceutical, and we are extremely thankful to them for having taken up the cause of creating the awareness about this menace. So in this podcast today, we plan to talk about the menace of counterfeit, exactly how the industry associations and other bodies are fighting to fight, whether it's the regulators or whether it's the brands, and just the kind of work that they are doing to fight. Now, the Indian pharma industry is currently valued around 3 trillion rupees, which is obviously a huge number. And most of this is for the consumers in India, but a significant part does get exported also, which is why India is called the pharmacy to the world now. Now, when the Indian industry sells or Indian pharma industry sells to consumers in India, a lot of it goes through the organized supply chain. Their chances of counterfeit seeping in through that supply chain is not so high. It's pretty tight actually. But when you talk about the disorganized or the unorganized supply chain, that is where the counterfeiters invariably inject their material, their counterfeit or fake material into the supply chain. And that is the problem. Now, the consumers are aware at times that there is counterfeit in the market. Surprisingly, there are various surveys that have actually done and found the extent of counterfeiting in India. So the survey conducted by Government of India, CDSCO, which is Center for Drug Control and Sanitization, they estimated way back in 2009 that the counterfeit presence in the market was less than 1%. But in more recent times, World Health Organization has estimated this number to be around 10%. ASPA, which is the organization I represent, had done a report with CRISIL, the well-known credit rating agency, and they found the number to be even higher. They found the number to be around 20% in some cases, and 25% of the people knowingly bought a counterfeit product. And the problem of counterfeiting is not just in one city or two cities in India. It's pretty much all pervasive. It is all over the country, with several cities reporting incidents of fake production sites, fake retailers selling fake medicines and stuff like that. So today indeed we are fortunate to have two very senior and eminent government officials who served the CDSCO in very senior capacities and who are very well versed with the overall spectrum of what the regulator is doing to control the quality of the pharmaceutical drugs and also how to fight them. So we have with us Mr. A.K. Pradhan and Dr. Bangaru Rajan, who will share their expertise with us and teach us more about this. So, my first question is pretty much to both of you gentlemen. We talk about counterfeiting or counterfeit drugs, of course. But then how do you define counterfeit and how would it be any different? One keeps sharing spurious, counterfeit or, substandard. So what's your take, sir? How do we define this? And what is indeed such a...
Thank you for the questions. Actually, as we all know, that manufacture, import, sale, distribution of drugs are regulated under the provisions of Drugs and Cosmetics Act and rules thereunder. So, in acts and rules, there is no such legal terminology of counterfeit drugs. However, there are specific definition of spurious drugs. Okay. Along with adulterated, misbranded, etc. So, by that definition, if I go, then spurious drug means a drug which is manufactured in the name of another drug. There are several situations under which a drug can be considered as spurious. One of these is this, that a drug is manufactured in the name of another drug.
Right.
Oh.
Misrepresentation or
Yeah.
misbranding.
If it is an imitation of another drug,
That is.
or if it is actually manufactured and it is labeled, and the label is mentioning the name of a person or a manufacturer which is actually a fictitious or which does not exist at all.
Right.
Also, if a drug is purports to be manufactured of a company of whom truly it is not the product, it is not a product.
Right.
So, there are several situation under which under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, a drug can be considered as spurious drugs.
So each one of these is labeled as spurious, as which is the larger term
Legally,
that
yeah,
encompasses everything.
legally it is labeled, and in official dealings, everywhere it is spurious drug. But many a times the stakeholders, publics and also others, players, they use this counterfeit terminology frequently.
Yeah,
That is the
commonly
point.
used
And
word.
counterfeit actually it is defined under by WHO, by some other international agencies. They are basically, they mean that counterfeit means when it is a drug which is actually fraudulently or deliberately mislabeled, or it is mispackaged, in respect of its source or identity, then they call it counterfeit.
Counterfeit.
And however, again, counterfeit medicine is also defined in other parts. There are no such single definition which is there all over the world. That's how, whenever regulatory officials or government deals with any issues related to counterfeit or spurious drug, they always consider and take into cognizance the terminology of
The
spurious.
terminology,
They will
spurious.
mention.
So spurious is the term that is broadly used, which
Yeah.
encompasses all different kinds of shortcomings that may be there in the product or the packaging or the labeling.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Anything else, sir, that you think you want to add to that?
Basically, WHO first came out with the SSFFC, that is substandard, spurious, falsified, fake, and counterfeit medicines. Now it has come with the definition of S and F, that is substandard and falsified medicines.
Right.
So substandard means that is it is a product which is actually a product of the original manufacturer, but it doesn't have the required standard or specification. So that is known as the substandard drugs. And falsified medicine, as Dr. Pradhan has already explained, that is, it is intentionally the label, the manufacturer claims on the label that it has been manufactured by such and such company, and thereby it is making it as a falsified. So one more thing is that counterfeit. Counterfeiting is in some of the countries, if it is a trademark or patent infringement, then also it is called as the counterfeit.
Okay.
So that's the reason actually that European Union is saying that it is of what is more than 40% of the products seized from their country is from India. So it may be due to the counterfeiting definition of that particular country.
Even they were flouting some copyright or IP, and
Exactly.
hence it got classified
Yes,
as
the counterfeit.
Understood, sir. Understood. So now, see, we all know that yes, counterfeits do a lot of harm, but then, like you just said, there are several kind of. I mean, I think for the purpose of this podcast, when we say counterfeit, we I suppose mean spurious, really, and it's an interchangeable word. But I mean, what is the harm that counterfeit is really doing? And there's some obvious harm that we all know it does. But then I just like to hear it from your perspective, or with all your experience behind you. What is the harm that it's doing? A, to the consumer, B, to the brand, and C, to the economy and the country in general.
Actually speaking, most of the spurious drug doesn't contain the active ingredient. So the companies who is manufacturing the person who is manufacturing the spurious drugs target the product which is fast moving and which is a costly one, and which contains a product which is costly enough. So what he does is just he puts the label, and then instead of the actual ingredient, he is putting a inert ingredient.
Okay.
So for example, if an anti-cancer drug is there, so an antibiotic or anti-cancer drug, if the product doesn't contain the anti-cancer drug or that active antibiotic, so the person, the doctor will think that it will be curing the person, but actually it doesn't do the needy one. So it will the patient will not recover from the thing.
Yeah.
So he thought that the doctor will think that, so that particular product is not working, so he will go to the higher end antibiotics like that, no. So that is the major drawback for the patients if it is a spurious drug is given. And then second one is that, yes, the brand of that company, the company's revenue is losing. So that is the second part. And then overall, so the treatment period is enhanced. So that's why the stay of the patient is there in the hospital for a longer time.
Yeah.
So the government side or over it is there, no, you have to spend a lot. So these are all the economic drawback of using a spurious trial or availability of the spurious trial.
Yeah, so I think it's not just, and we've all heard stories that, the income generated from counterfeit actually goes on to fund subversive and terrorism activities also. So that's another aspect which is not pharma specific,
Yes.
of course. But then people do, there are instances where the intelligence agencies have discovered that this is happening. Anyways, so
Yeah.
you want to add something?
Yes, I think Dr. Mangarajan has clearly mentioned what are the impacts, on the society and on the patients, etc. I would like to explain some certain thing, because this manufacturing of spurious drug or trades, these are illicit trades. These are clandestine activities, right, sir? And they do it by taking the advantage of certain fast moving brands. So therefore, this type of spurious drug may contain active ingredients or may not contain, or it that content of active ingredient may not be sufficient, and it poses a serious public health risk to the society as such. How? Because as Dr. Bangarajan has correctly mentioned, first and foremost impact is on patient, because this spurious drugs, they deceive both the healthcare prescriber, that means the doctor who is prescribing,
Right.
because he doesn't know
Yeah, sure.
whether it is actually spurious or it is a genuine medicines. Similarly, patients also doesn't know, because a doctor has prescribed and he has purchased it. Now, if it is a spurious drug, if it doesn't contain the active ingredients, or the active ingredient is not sufficient, or sometimes it may contain some harmful substances.
Yeah.
So then you can understand the serious health risk that is on the patient,
Absolutely.
and there will be treatment failure, there will be further progression of disease, so any disease, and it can cause death also. So this is the most serious impact on patients' health. The number two,
So if I may
actually,
interject you for a moment, sir, and I think these deaths don't get recorded as due to counterfeit medicines. They get recorded as died out of whatever illness that the patient had.
no,
So-
that actually requires thorough investigation, because
Which doesn't happen.
because a patient, if death has occurred, whether that is because of lack of effectiveness of the product,
Yeah.
or because of his disease, or because of some other reason,
You never.
that needs to be investigated, and many a times it is investigated by the by the law enforcement agencies, by regulators, etc. And what I was actually trying to tell, that other impact, patients risk, patients health impact is the foremost, that is the first one, as we all know. Yeah. The second is that such spurious drugs or counterfeit, whatever you call, they places burden on the society. Means it actually places burdens on the healthcare provider, on the regulators, on the other law enforcement agencies, on the manufacturer itself, whose actually brand has been actually imitated. And overall, it actually places burdens on the society at all.
Certainly is.
So, this is a serious issue,
Absolutely.
and government has zero tolerance
Yeah, that's
on such things.
absolutely clear. So what is the government really doing? What is the regulator
Yeah,
doing? Are there
yeah,
any
yes.
what are the laws in place?
Yeah.
What is the punishment? So if you could just throw some light on that.
Yeah, correct.
Sure.
I think that is the important things, because government, as I have already mentioned, government has zero tolerance on such menace of spurious drugs, and government has taken series of measures during the last many years. As I have already mentioned, that manufacture, import, sale, distribution of drugs are regulated under Drugs and Cosmetics Act and rules. And the Act provides details of provisions, requirements of manufacturing license, how to actually investigate, and what is the, and also the Act provides the appointment of inspectors and power of inspectors. All those things are there, and there the it also prescribes the offenses and penalties.
Okay.
And specifically the offenses related to spurious drug manufacture, sale, distribution of spurious drug are prescribed clearly in the Drugs and Cosmetics. And that penalty was enhanced through amendment in the Drugs and Cosmetics Act in 2008.
These are financial penalties.
No.
Then
That is an imprisonment.
it wasn't.
That is a penalty. Because today, as per the existing provisions, offences, penalties, if any person or any company manufacture a spurious drug which is likely to cause death of the patient, or it is likely to cause grievous hurt, then the punishment prescribed is that it is not less than 10 years of imprisonment.
Okay.
Or it can actually, it may be extended to the imprisonment for life.
Wow.
And also fees, which is not less than 10 lakhs rupees. So those provisions are there, and those penalties were enhanced through an amendment in 2000 Act. That is the first thing. And then subsequently also the regulators and government, in collaboration with the stakeholders, they prepared a detailed guidelines as to how to investigate such cases of spurious, adulterated or not of standard quality drugs, and how to take decision about launching prosecutions, etc. That guidelines was also issued in 2009 by governments, to all the state regulators.
Yeah.
And under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, the functions related to manufacture, sale, distribution, imports are clearly defined, under which the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is the regulatory authority on behalf of central government. So, they are primarily assigned for certain activities, mainly activities related to approval of new drugs, approval for grant of import, registration and license, basically to regulate import of drugs, and also for granting manufacturing license jointly with the states in case of certain critical products like vaccines, biotech products, or sera, etc., etc. So, and under the regulatory system, because CDSU at the center, and every state has its own regulatory authorities, and inspectors are appointed by both the central government as well as state government. An inspector can actually have the right, or they can go for inspection of the facilities, or wherever there is a drug, or is at the level of distributors, at the level of wholesalers, retailers, they can go and inspect and verify.
But one also hears, sir, that there's a lot of border in terms of cross-state trade that is happening.
Yes.
And then one has also heard that at times there is a problem in coordination between the enforcement departments of two states.
Exactly. Therefore, the CDSU, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization at the centers, they have a responsibility to coordinate with the state, okay, for securing or for ensuring uniform implementation, okay, of the provisions of Drugs and Cosmetics Act and rules. Because we have multiple licensing authorities, as I have already mentioned, that CDSO in the center, but each state has their own state licensing authorities. Therefore, coordination between the state and the central regulatory authorities is very important, right, sir, in terms of carrying out investigation, addressing the complaints related to spurious drug or other, in respect of adulterated or not of standard quality. And during the last 2 years, CDSCO is seriously engaged with the states continuously to coordinate and in order to ensure that effective coordinations. Effective coordination between the CDSCO and the states, and also the coordination among the states. Yeah. Because whenever there is a complaint or there is some information through intelligence that a particular, in a particular premises, somebody is manufacturing this spurious drug in a clandestine manner, then in based on information, the CDSCO goes in jointly with the state drug inspectors also. So they go and investigate the matter, okay, and then based on findings, they take actions, and that has happened during the last many years, and many cases of spurious drugs have been actually unearthed. Yeah. That is one thing, and therefore the strengthening of regulatory enforcement activities in the states as well as in the CDSCO is very important, and government and CDSCO is seriously engaged during the last few years for strengthening this regulatory system, under which one of the strengthening is the strengthening of enforcement activity. How to enhance enforcement, how to ensure rigorous enforcement to actually address this menace of spurious. Other things that has been taken doing the things, one of the things I think you may be aware that CDSCO has a system for putting drug alerts on their websites. That means if because inspector, they draw the samples and they get it tested from government laboratories.
Right.
And if it is found to be not of standard quality, because that time during the testing by government analyst, the government analyst may not be knowing whether it is a spurious or it is a substandard or it is something else, because they will do the test as per the specification and method of analysis, and they will say that it is not of standard quality.
So these are picked randomly from the market, sir?
Randomly, and sometimes based on complaint, or sometimes risk based, and there is a guidelines also CDSCO has prepared how to actually draw the samples on what basis. And then whenever the government analyst gives a report which is not of standard qualities, as per the SOP of CDSCO, those cases of not of standard quality, right now these are not of standard quality. On a monthly basis, those cases of not of standard qualities drugs are uploaded in the CDSCO archives. And before uploading, actually there is a system, very important aspects. As soon as CDSCO receives such case of not of standard quality report,
right,
from the government analyst, what they do, they immediately write to the concerned manufacturer.
Okay.
Suppose a drug has been found to be of not of standard quality by X laboratory.
Right.
Now that product mentions that manufactured by these expiry date manufacturing license is. Then immediately CDSCO write to the concerned manufacturer whose name is appearing
Okay.
on the label
Okay.
and ask them to withdraw the product, recall the product from the market because it is not of standard quality.
Oh, okay.
That time what happens, if the company feels, then the company start investigating because they are getting that their product has been found to be of not of standard quality. They start investigations,
Right.
and sometimes they find that this is a product which has been found to be of not of standard quality, that is actually not manufactured by them, and they say that this is a spurious. So, this system of monthly uploading of drug alerts on CDSCO website has actually helped the industry to detect the cases of spurious drug quickly.
So these drug alerts are meant to be like raising a flag to the brands that look, this particular product or brand of yours has been found substandard. Look
Now you
into it
recall
and let
it,
us know. Recall it,
and
or
obviously as soon as they receive this notice of recall,
they go into
they start
investigation.
investigating.
Yes.
And because they are also, they have their own intelligence, they also go for continuous surveillance to protect their brand. So as soon as they receive such a case of not of standard quality, they also investigate whether this was actually manufactured by us or not. Big companies, especially the fast moving brand cases.
Very true.
And through this system, lot of cases has been unanswered, which actually
Would have gone unnoticed.
are
Maybe.
claimed to be spurious.
Yeah.
So in
And
addition
you
to
will
this
find-
drug alert, I just add one more point. That actually it gives the other drug regulators, other state regulators, to see that that particular product is prevented from further sale in the to the consumer. So that is also there. And then next is that the consumer will also, the alert consumers, we will see the drug alert. So they will also not purchase that particular batch of that particular product. So this is another helps of the drug alert.
But how is the consumer made aware, sir, to not to
Yes,
purchase?
because these drug alerts are uploaded in CDSCO website, which is publicly available, and with all details of name of manufacturer and brand, date of manufacturer, date of expiry.
batch
Yeah, with
number.
the batch
Batch number is more critical.
Yeah, my batch number is the most critical one.
Yeah,
Yes.
because if one is to check, then one has to compare the batch number, match it to what you've raised an alert
Exactly.
on, and then understand whether this is, the same batch.
And recently, during the last 4, 5, 6 months, I would say, this system of uploading the cases of not of standard quality drugs,
Mm-hmm.
which may include cases of spurious drugs,
So,
that has actually caught attention of the media. Media has actually, started
highlighting.
cutting and taking this news, this information, and they are, showing and putting in their shows, and they are having various, public,
Publications.
media, in press media.
Yeah, it's getting highlighted
Getting-
in the media.
So in other way, it is actually creating awareness of the publics and the healthcare profession.
Absolutely, and I think a lot more needs to be done, and probably we'll talk about it in the later sections. But then, one question. We were talking about the interstate cooperation, which you said the CDSCO along with the state organizations is addressing. But do you think that there is a case to give more teeth to the act? Because, I heard about this case recently, Ashok Kumar Sharma versus the Union of India, where the Supreme Court held that the drug inspector's FIR did not quite have the authority to have the perpetrator arrested. Okay. So would you like to throw some light on that part, sir?
Yes, this particular case, that is Ashok Kumar versus Union of India of 2020 by the Supreme Court of India. Actually, if you go to the back, that is in 2018, there was a complaint by a consumer to the UP State Drug Controller.
Okay.
UP State Drug Controller has given the complaint to the concerned drug inspector for investigation.
Right.
So the concerned drug inspector has gone to that particular place and found that the person doesn't have the any manufacturing licenses, but he was manufacturing a product which belongs to other manufacturer, that is known as a spurious drug. So what he did is immediately filed a FIR before the police.
Right.
So based on that FIR, police has taken the action and arrested the person who has been manufacturing the product without the license.
Right.
So that arrested person has gone to the court, that is Uttar Pradesh Allahabad High Court, for causing the arrest
Right.
or to come out with the bail. So the Allahabad High Court has seen all the provisions and other things, and they stated that police doesn't have the power under the provisions of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act to file an FIR and arrest the
To
person.
even file the FIR.
No, yes, because it is our Drugs and Cosmetic Act is a special act.
Okay.
So the provision of the special act has to be followed.
Okay.
So the action taken by the police is not correct, and then he has released the product, that is person who has been arrested by the police. So against this order, because most of the drug control authorities doesn't have the facilities for arrest and keeping the accused person under their control. So to come out with a solution, the government of India, that is Union of India, has gone into the appeal before the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And then the Supreme Court has heard, because since it is a special act, Supreme Court appointed a amicus curiae, as well as our government advocate, that is senior government advocates, as represented. And after discussion, it is a very big judgment which has come in August 2018. So that has clearly said that this is a special act.
Yeah.
That is Drugs and Cosmetic is a special act. Only as per the section 32 of the act, only certain persons have the power to take the cognizance of that act, that is for the to taking a person to the court of law. So that is drug inspector or a consumer association or any gazetted officer authorized by the government for that particular offense. So these all are the things available, and the things are that since the government advocate as the Solicitor General has argued that since it is a cognizable offense, so police has the power, and then they can register the FIR. But after detailed discussion, the Supreme Court has come out that the provision of the act has to be followed by the drug inspector only, that is for the
police.
cognizable offences under section chapter 4 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. And police cannot file an FIR under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act.
So this really weakens the teeth of the enforcement, including the police, because so you have a clear case in this instance, from what I understand, that there is a perpetrator who's making spurious medicines. I guess the CDSCO had all the, or the state official had all the evidence. That's why the police even interacted and kind of. But don't you think that this is all pointing towards further strengthening of the legislation that is probably required to make the task of catching these perpetrators?
No, here the Supreme Court has said that the act itself gives power to the drug inspector
Drug
for
inspector.
arrest.
Yeah.
Arrest also can be made by the drug inspector. So that power has been given to the drug inspector by the act itself. So the drug inspector has to act for even the arrest of the accused person, and then he has to follow the criminal procedure code. So once any arrest by other persons are made, then he can take it to the nearest police station with the accused and then hand it over to the police, and then police will take care of further things. So this is the procedure as per the criminal procedure code. So it cannot weaken the thing system, but main thing is the forces. because the drug inspector is a single person, and in this way, what the people at present are doing is they are getting the assistance from the police. So as you have said that if FIR cannot be launched, it will weaken. It is not so. So our drug inspectors are getting assistance, that is by requesting the concerned police station SHOs, requesting the assistance from the police for during investigations, and make the necessary things, and investigations are going on. So likewise,
So the police comes in at that stage. Once the drug inspector has reported the matter
yes,
to the police, then the arrest is made by the drug inspector,
has to be made by the drug
has
inspector.
to be made by him, and then the police can further take up the matter and deal with
No,
the
police can
criminal
be that
proceeding.
is further investigation has to be made by the drug inspector only,
Okay.
because the provisions are in such a way that only the drug inspector
Can
can launch a
start.
prosecution. So investigation has to be made by the drug inspector only, and then he has to, because the punishment here in this case is as already Mr. Pradhan has told, that it is if it is causing a grievous injury, it is not less than 10 years. If it is not causing grievous injury, however, in that case, not less than 7 years of imprisonment, it may go up to life imprisonment with a fine of rupees 5 lakhs.
Okay.
And 3 times of the drug confiscated. So whichever is more. So these are all the things which has been made. So punishment is more.
So, and sir, are there any other, let's say, regulations which can help fight the counterfeit medicines? Are there any other regulations?
Yeah. So, so far as other regulatory measures that have been taken, I was just mentioning that one of the important things that has taken place, that in 2000, since August 2023, there is a mandatory requirements for putting barcode or QR code on top 300 brands. So, which will encode different information, like including product identification code, date of manufacture, name of manufacturer, expiry date, spurious date, etc. So that is also one measure that has been taken for ensuring traceability and authenticity of the products. The other thing that has been taken, in 2022, there was an amendments in the rules requiring that all the packaging of API, that means active pharmaceutical ingredients, that should carry the QR code, at every level of packaging. That means if it is primary packaging or secondary packaging, or and every level of packaging, there should be QR code, which will also actually have information related to manufacturer, date of manufacture, date of expiry. So that will also actually provide security in the supply chain of active pharmaceutical ingredients. Further, in 2020, there was a amendment whereby the marketers were also brought under their responsibility. It was mandated that marketer along with the manufacturer,
Right.
they will also be responsible for complying all regulatory obligations.
Okay.
So because many a times the marketer is a big company,
Right.
and manufacturer may not be that big.
Right, sir.
So putting this regulation has also helped to actually use the surveillance system or use their intelligence system of big company to contain the menace of spurious drugs. There was another amendment also in 2019, whereby it was made mandatory that whenever the manufacturer will go to the state licensing authority for grant of manufacturing license, they have to submit an undertaking in a particular format,
Okay.
saying that based on search on the CDSU website, market stability and online, etc., the brand they are suggesting that there is no such or similar brands already
In the market.
in the market. Okay, so that will also ensure brand protection in terms of that. And this way, many measures have been taken during the last many years to address this menace of spurious drugs. However, and other things I would also mention here that both central government and state governments, they are seriously engaged to strengthen the regulatory infrastructure in the country, regulatory system in terms of infrastructure, manpower, and also to enhance the knowledge and skill of inspectors and regulatory officials so that they can actually investigate the matters with a professional skill.
Right.
And quickly they can detect and they can take regulatory action, including launching of prosecution quickly. They can address effectively in the court also. Because many a times these cases of spurious drugs, they take considerable times
Right.
to come to a conclusion.
That's
or a
the
decision.
problem. So I mean,
Very results is very important.
So in addition to that, that is special courts have been there as per the
That are
provisions of
by
the
states.
Act itself. Act gives the power of to the state as well as the central government to form the special courts to try the offences coming under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act to speed up the trial. So that is also there, and most of the states have set up the special courts. Normally that are designated, that is concerned high courts as designated, the sessions court as the special court to try the offences under this Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So that this enhances the speedy trial of the offenders.
so I mean, this is
But in spite of this, yes, we have to go a long way. Yes, because government
that's
and
a reactive
regulators
measure.
are seriously engaged continuously
So-
until the as I have already mentioned, that government has zero tolerance.
Absolutely. So I think,
for
and I think we need to deal with it on the regulatory side, on the legislative side, and I think also on the technology side. So what are the technology? I mean, the 300 top 300 brands being asked to mandatorily put a QR code. That's a great step forward. But then in the same way, let's also remember that the QR code technology is to establish the traceability. Not really, and we must look at the traceability and authentication differently, because all said and done, a QR code can be replicated with reasonable ease. Uh, but it's a great tool for setting the traceability of any ingredients right through the supply chain. So great technology, and we in the industry thought that it's a great step forward when the government mandated the top 300 brands. But then besides this, I look upon it as a technology intervention, if you please. So besides this, what are the other technology intervention are there in place from the regulator or the producer side? And maybe I'll also add a bit to it in terms of the authentication features and the authentication technology. But we start with you, sir. What do you think? What are the other technology
Other
interventions?
technologies you can the other technology is serialization.
Serialization.
Yes, that is another technology. That is individual strips or the bottles labels will have the serialization, so that will authenticate whether it is manufactured by the original manufacturer, and that is serialization. And then another is the 1D or 2D barcoding.
Right, sir.
And then other things some of the manufacturers are using is RFID. So that is also some of the bigger manufacturer, because it's somewhat high-end
Very
authentication, yes,
expensive.
expensive one. So some of the manufacturers are also using it. And then other things are like using some holograms. So that is only for the authentic purposes only, not the traceability.
Absolutely.
Yes, not the trace and track. And then now what is coming is that blockchain technologies, that I think blockchain technology, it's mainly for the sophisticated and high end only. So these are some of the technologies available for the track and trace.
So if I can just add further to that, sir, see, basically coming from the authentication background, which I do, so typically when we are kind of shared with the problem statement that there's counterfeiting happening, So we typically get into, okay, where is the problem? Uh, do we want overt features, which is the visible features, or do you want covert features, which is the invisible features? And, at times, more often than not, it's a mix of two. You have overt and covert features that go into securing a particular product or making it more difficult. See, the bottom line is there is nothing which is copy proof. The
Correct.
most sophisticated passports of the world, banknotes of the world, they do get compromised and counterfeited. We know that. Idea is to raise the barrier to a level where a counterfeiter finds it very hard to replicate or match that standard. So typically, the counterfeiter psychology is that he will counterfeit a product, but the moment he says that there is a barrier in terms of technology, in terms of security features, then he will quietly move away to another brand,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Or maybe shut shop. Well, no shut shops really. They just move to another brand really because that's a bread and butter. So we always advise that on the authentication technology, use a multi-layered technology solution. Okay, use maybe a bit of holograms, maybe a bit of security print, a bit of security designing, security inks. So idea is that each such additional feature is making it very difficult for the counterfeiter to come close to it.
It is a combination of
The combination of
two technologies.
so, and then we further also talk about the physical technology. Physical technology is when we have given some features into the packaging that are ink based or they are visually, you can check and identify. And then there is the digital. The digital is, like I mentioned, the QR code that you mentioned is definitely a great tool for track and trace. But currently, we are also looking at a non-clonable code. Some companies are talking about it. So they're saying we give you a QR code, you can scan that, and on the scan, we will tell you whether it's authentic or not. So, I think that technology is still getting stabilized. It's still in the process of acceptance. So maybe a technology like that, or maybe a QR code for further information backed by a physical security feature. So we call this combination phygital, okay, which is a bit of physical and a bit of digital. So the phygital approach does seem like a good way forward. And idea is to, give lots of features that are easy for the consumer to verify. And at times, what also we've seen is the copy is so good. It's as good as the original. Like I'm sure you know it better than me. You would have seen hundreds of these samples. So how does the brand team also identify? So for the brand team, there are some covert features, simple things like there's a hidden message for which you need a decoding film. You put the decoding film on top and then you see the message come through.
Okay.
Okay. Or you have a special reader. There's a holographic element or a printed element. You have a reader and you put the reader there and it tells you like a green light or a red light, whether this is original or not. So those are the technologies on the authentication front that a lot of our members at ASPA are developing and promoting. And the good thing is that the pharmaceutical industry is getting more and more interested in that. A lot of big pharma companies are now willing to talk to us because see what also happens, sir, is these features cost money. And
Exactly,
obviously,
yes.
and there's DPCO, we all know that, right?
Yes.
So they have their own challenges. But the point is to strike that balance there between cost and the benefit. And at least the some high-end brands, when I say high-end, I mean higher priced brands really, where they can afford that additional expense. तो वो वहाँ ज़रूर खर्च करते हैं और वो चाहते हैं कि भाई लोगों में जागरूकता पैदा हो कि भाई हमारी दवाइयों में ये लिखा गया है या इस तरह के स्पेशल फीचर है और लोग उसको देखें. Which actually, on the technology front, I mean, if there is anything else you gentlemen want to add, otherwise I think I also want to now move on to the awareness part, which is something very close to my heart.
Okay.
And so,
Technology, I think I want to mention, add some.
Sir.
Because, regulatory measures have been taken or are being taken, being strengthened, a lot of things are being. But this problem in India specifically, because that pharma supply chain management is very important.
So
In order to plug this problem, in order to actually eradicate this problem,
completely agree with you, sir.
that pharmaceutical supply chain management is very important, as it is now the need of the hour.
Absolutely.
And there, I think the technological invention, in that technological innovation actually can play a greater role also.
Absolutely.
The product specific traceability and authenticity is one thing. Other is that you have to ensure your pharma supply chain is tight, the management in a robust manner, and that infiltration of any counterfeit products or spurious product, whatever you call, into the system will actually give a red alert. There will be immediately it can be detected, and immediately the source
That's a complete
from where it is coming,
absolutely.
everything can be detected. Then I think that will be a huge deterrent for the counterfeiters.
Absolutely. And this I think was one
That is I think governments and all stakeholders, including the manufacturer, distributor, sellers, they have to come together
Yes.
in this field, because this pharma supply chain is so complex in our country. There are more than 12 lakhs retail lab wholesalers,
Retailers, yes.
10,000 manufacturers, patients, consumers,
we are a large country, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely. And
procurement agency, everywhere. So if you can bring all these together into a completely digitized platform, supply chain platform, where every stakeholders will update what they are doing in as a stakeholders, or they involved, if he is involved in any concerns related supply chain management.
absolutely, sir.
So that will be a great, I think, in my opinion, that will bring a lot of deterrence, and that will create a system, and that strengthening of supply chain ecosystem is very important.
Very important.
to address
Supply
this.
chain issue. That's the point you made. Sir, you want to add something to it, sir?
Actually, that in 17-18 itself, the government of India has come out with a draft notification of parent-child authentication, but
Right.
because of the cost involved and the representation from the small-scale industries, SMEs, so it has been put aside. So after that, only this 300 leading brands has been asked to put the track and trace technology in their products. So as a supply chain and other things, yes, it is going to be the next step. Yes,
Absolutely.
so the that is a forum like you and your members should come out with
No, absolutely. Sir.
some technologies which will be used by even SMEs, that is small scale manufacturers, as well as the larger ones, so that the consumer will get a authenticated product,
Absolutely.
not a counterfeit.
See,
not
what
a
happening,
authenticated
Karan,
product.
in my view, we are of such a large country, and not just in terms of population, but also in terms of sizes. Our people live across the length and breadth of the country, and to have a organized supply chain cover the entire length and width of the country is already in process, but it
Yes.
takes time. And I think we have the big online e-commerce companies, etc., who are already in the process of doing that, and they are also worried that we don't want a situation that fake products, including pharmaceutical or medicines, go through our supply chain. So they are also setting up their processes in place. So I think we are all moving in the right directions, but these are perhaps small steps, because we are a developing nation, we are a very large nation, but I'm pretty sure that's a matter of time before most of our supply chain, which is utilized to reach the length and breadth of our country, is going to be digitized and brought under control one way or the other. Yeah, which brings me to the question of awareness. I think half the battle will be won, in my view, if we can create the awareness amongst consumers. I think that's so critical. So what's your take from a government and regular? Start with you, sir.
What we can say that at least government through Consumer Affairs Ministry,
Yeah.
government is doing some of the overall, not only the pharma industries, to the food industry and other things. awareness programs are being conducted. So, but I think they have to increase the awareness programs so that the consumers will know that what are the things to be taken or to be followed when a drug is purchased.
Yeah.
So that is one of the important thing. So government's role is one of the things. In addition to that, the companies, that is manufacturers, should also come out with certain programs. I think this
This is correct.
one of
Yeah.
the program. I think it will also create a
Absolutely.
awareness to the consumers. So it will give. So how the products, how we can authenticate the product like that, how their product is authenticated. So those things, no, can be brought by the companies.
Complete.
So that it will give a good chance, and then it has to be publicized. So it has to be publicized. So unless otherwise it is publicized, consumer will not be knowing.
Made aware.
Yes, not be aware of that one.
Series
So
of
may-
most brands that I talk to, and I've been doing it for more than 30 years, they do not publicly want to acknowledge that there is counterfeiting. Leave alone counterfeiting in their brand. They don't want to talk openly about counterfeit, which I think is a big negative, because the more the industry leaders and the brands talk about it, the more will be the awareness. Higher the awareness, more vigilant the consumer. The more vigilant the consumer, better equipped is he to identify the fakes.
Correct.
So that the entire ecosystem of creating the consumer awareness is important. Some days back, I was with a customer, a very large pharmaceutical company, and we were, of course, devising a certain solution for him. So he asked me a very basic question. He said, "Look, Manoj, when you buy medicine, okay, what do? We just go to the counter, you ask for your medicine, you make the payment, and you walk away." I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much what I do." He said, "You make a mistake." I said, "Bah." I said, "Do you ever check the cash memo? Do you ever compare the name of the medicine on the cash memo to what you bought? Do you ever check the batch number, which is printed on the medicine strip that you bought, to what is mentioned in the invoice?" No, I said, "I don't do that." He's like, "I consider you as a well-informed, well-traveled, educated person. And if you don't do that, so imagine what's happening in the rural part of the country."
Exactly,
And
yes.
that's where it's so easy to push through substandard and spurious material.
Yes.
So that awareness creation is extremely critical. I think brands need to take it up strongly. Brands need to talk about it. That, look, there is a problem. This is how, I mean, uh, a very large company again developed a video.
I think, along with regulatory strengthening, regulatory enforcement staff, skill and knowledge enhancement for taking actions, technological innovations, use of technological innovations. Public awareness is also seem equally important.
Absolutely.
For addressing the issue of counterfeit or spurious drugs, because that public can actually act in a much greater way. They can be the facilitator to detect a particular spurious or counterfeit drug in a supply chain, as well as they can be the eyes and ears of the regulators. One way, when they will go and purchase the medicine, as you have rightly mentioned, they must ask for the cash memo.
Right.
They must check whether the batch number is correctly mentioned, the date of manufacture, date of expiry, everything is mentioned as supplied to them. Along with that, they should also actually complain if they have some information about any illicit trade or anything going on somewhere in some house or in one room, something is going on, somebody is manufacturing, it looks like drugs or something. So they should.
The public has a role to play, sir, for sure.
Very
But if I may just add to that, I think so. In terms of creation of awareness amongst the people, I think it's very important for the government to take up this cause, because government has the financial muscle, it has the reach, and it has the power to continuously bombarding a certain message across the entire citizens or the nation, so to say. Because once the citizens are made aware, they're going to be more vigilant. They're going to check their purchase of the medicine they are buying, so which will automatically put the counterfeiters at bay to a large extent, because now they know that there are policemen in terms of the citizens of the country who are checking every single medicine they buy, you know. So I think that awareness creation, that the need for the consumer to check to compare the information on the strip to what is seen on the cash memo, and that I think is a very, very important piece in this entire thing. So
Correct.
creation of mass awareness is critical. We need a campaign like the Jago Grahak Jago, which was absolutely wonderful, and all of us were much younger when it really made headlines, so to say. But even today, people recall that campaign so fondly, and everybody remembers that. So we need to do something similar, like maybe असली दवा असली जिंदगी, और मे बी जागो ग्राहक जागो, समथिंग सिमिलर, जिससे एक लोगों में एक जागरूकता पैदा हो कि भाई वो असली नकली देख के खरीदें। तो वो मैं समझता हूँ एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट पीस है जो कि हमें करना पड़ेगा। बट जनता के अलावा हमारे यहाँ काफ़ी हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स भी हैं इस पूरे वैल्यू चेन में। तो वो अवेयरनेस आपको हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स में भी शायद बढ़ानी पड़ेगी। उनको भी उनको जितना हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल समझेगा कि हाँ भाई ये चीज़ नकली है, असली है, इसको इस तरह से पहचाना जाए, तो वो भी अपने अगली चेन को वो समझाएगा। वो उसकी अगली चेन क्या हुई, या तो डॉक्टर्स हुए या पेशेंट्स हुए, तो वो अवेयरनेस मेरे ख्याल से उस रूट से भी जानी चाहिए। तो हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स में अवेयरनेस पैदा करने के लिए शायद ब्रांड्स को कुछ आगे आना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सरकार तो एक कंज्यूमर लेवल या एक सिटीजन लेवल पे ही कर सकती है। So maybe that'll be another good step forward. So I think, yes, sir. You're saying something?
Actually, here the company's role is also an important.
Sir.
So this one, not only the doctors, because the company is supplying the medicines to the
They have
wholesaler and then
all
then to the retailer. So pharmacists also playing a very important role.
right.
So the pharmacist has to see that from where originally the products are coming, whether the same supplier is supplying it. If any new person is coming and then offering at a reduced price, then they have to see. So why, how is it is possible, and then he can immediately ask the real supplier who was supplying at the normal rate, and then who is that new person, like that he has to check it. And also the covert and overt things, how to see those things. So all those things should be taught or given training to these retailers, so they will be aware.
Yeah.
So this is so from there only it goes to the consumers. So cutting in that place itself will be a proper one, and then same way the doctors has to be informed about the if any new packs are introduced into the market, so that introduction of a new product, new packs, and then doctors can also see how the new packs will have that things. So the doctor will also say to the patients, so this is a new pack, you can yourself check whether these things are there, like that. So this is another way of
Very
thing for the consumer.
I think healthcare professional play a very important role, sir,
Yes.
for creating public awareness, because healthcare professional or prescribers, they are in direct communication with the patient,
right.
because they prescribe, and then patient take the medicine. If the patient is not feeling okay, then he will come back to his doctors and ask the doctor साहब ये तो दिया था लेकिन इसमें तो कम नहीं किया। तो द हेल्थ केयर प्रेस्क्राइबर और डॉक्टर्स, उनको हालांकि ये चीज़ पता है आज का डेट में, बिकॉज ऑफ सो मेनी मीडिया कवरेज एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स ऑल ओवर द कंट्री, डॉक्टर्स आर फुल्ली अवेयर अबाउट द मेनास, लेकिन they can play some proactive role for creating awareness amongst the consumers. Absolutely. Because they have always in direct communication.
Absolutely.
प्रेस्क्राइब करने का टाइम ही अगर वो बोल दे कि देखिए जब दवाई खरीदना है, ये जो मैंने लिख दिया अब दुकान में जाओ, खरीदो और उसमें ज़रूर कैश मेमो लो और देखो, चेक करो। ये अगर बोलते रहे कंटिन्यूअसली,
हाँ, उससे बहुत अवेयरनेस
अरे
पैदा होगी।
That is personal
a tremendous, benefit to the society.
Need to empower the
And
consumer.
any time if doctor feels that ये एक दवाई मैंने प्रेस्क्राइब किया था, इसमें तो काम होना चाहिए था,
जी,
लेकिन हुआ नहीं।
जी,
अगर वो ग्रासली सोचे दैट मीन्स इट मे बी स्पूरियस।
एब्सोल्यूट,
तो ऐसा चीज he can actually examine, and if he thinks that yes इसमें कुछ है, तो he can complain also,
एब्सोल्यूट।
put a complaint, and that happens also. Many of the doctors write to regulators in CDSU, but यार ये हमने ये दिया था, I think this is not working, इसको अब देखो ये क्या है।
इनफैक्ट हमने एक वो सीडीएस की जो रिपोर्ट थी ना,
हाँ,
यहाँ पे वो 2009 में पब्लिश हुई थी।
हाँ,
आई हैड डाउनलोडेड दैट रिपोर्ट एंड आई हैड रेड। तो मैं देख रहा था कि उन्होंने कैसे आइडेंटिफाई किया कि नकली दवाइयाँ हैं। वेरी बेसिक स्टफ। आप जो दवा ले रहे हो उसकी स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक तो उसमें नहीं है,
हाँ,
उसका कोई फॉन्ट मिसमैच है, कुछ ऊपर नीचे है, शेड में डिफरेंस तो नहीं है। ऑल दीज आर सिंपल साइंस व्हिच कंज्यूमर अंडरस्टैंड्स।
yes,
उसको कुछ इसके लिए ट्रेनिंग देने की जरूरत नहीं,
नहीं,
उसको सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन देना है कि हाँ भाई आप जो दवा ले रहे हैं तो जरा देख लीजिए वो वही रंग है या वही फॉन्ट्स हैं या वही प्लेसमेंट्स हैं, उसमें कुछ अगर फर्क है तो आप जरा थोड़ा गौर करिए और देखिए कि ये असली है या नहीं। I think this entire conversation that we've had with you, awareness, I think, is, to my mind, is the biggest piece, which let's hope will solve a lot of problems. Thank you very much for being in the show. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this episode of 5W1H. I think we had a great interaction. We covered the entire spectrum, right from understanding what a counterfeit or a substandard or a spurious medicine is, exactly what are the technology interventions that are happening to arrest that, what is the regulator doing, and what are the rules and regulations in place, what are the various acts in place. We've had a very good look at all that courtesy both our guests, and the biggest piece to me was how can the consumer awareness and awareness across the healthcare professionals also, how should that be taken to the next level, and what a big role the government can play there, and of course the brands individually. These are big companies, and like this episode is doing precisely that. I'm sure more such initiatives will only strengthen the entire ecosystem to fight the counterfeit and make it a much healthier place for all of us. Asli dawa, khushahal zindagi. Thank you so much.